Hi, Juwel.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good to be
Hello.
back with all
Welcome
of
back.
you. And hear the familiar voices and see the familiar faces. I've been away for a long time and I'm back here. I was back actually a couple of months ago, but then I went to Calcutta, my hometown, and I'm back here again in Goa, and I'll be traveling again. So I thought, I must do the session with you. So let me not waste time, and thank you everyone, Belinda also for thinking of me, all right, to do the session. So I went to Pilar. I'm sure most of you have been to Pilar, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I went to Pilar for Mass, and the sermon was very meaningful. And Father started telling us about how he used to admire a young widow who used to come to Mass every day. And she, although she had a little boy, a little young son, and she was widowed at a very young age, she always had a cheerful disposition. And she always smiled and she worked hard, and she seemed to carry on with her life very confidently. So one day because he said the parishioners would come to him with lots of issues. And he said sometimes he would wonder how he became a priest and why he became a priest. So he decided one day to ask her, what was the secret? And she replied very simply. She said, Father, it's just joy, Joy. And then she elaborated. And she's, Lorraine, can we have the first slide, please? If you're around, yes. Yeah. So she elaborated on that. And can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Juwel.
Yes? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll move on to the next slide now. Yes. So she explained to Father that for her, J stood for Jesus or God, okay, because she got all her strength from God, and she trusted in God for her future, and she accepted what had happened in her life, and she was moving on. And O stood for others. So she felt that you should share with others, and that she shared her cooking skills with others. She shared her painting skills with others. She was also good at listening. So she would give people a listening ear, and that gave them joy, and it gave her joy. And finally, she said, Y stood for yourself. She said, joy begins within yourself. We don't have to depend on anyone for joy. Yes, we do naturally when we get together, as we all have now, there is happiness, but the inner joy we have to look for within ourselves. Don't think, oh, if my son does this, I will be happy. Or if my husband does this, or my wife does this, or whatever, my friend does this, I'll be happy. Let us try to depend on ourselves for happiness. All right. So this is how she explained it to Father, and what he explained to us, the breakup. So joy is depending on God, on others, and on yourself. That's the most important thing. All right, we'll move on to the next slide now, Lorraine. And it so happened that Belinda happened to call me on the same evening, okay, when I had gone for that sermon for the Mass. And when I heard, and I shared with her about the sermon just casually. She was requesting me to do a session. And then suddenly she suggested, why don't you do this on joy? And I agreed. And so here we are doing the session on joy. So that's how, that's God's grace sometimes. So, and if you look here, I think you Magic Monday members are all so joyful. We're always uplifting one another. We're always sharing, encouraging. So look at this, the picnic. And look at Jacinta there with Belinda and Mary. Such beautiful pictures of happiness. Look at that Ursula, all smiling. So that's what Magic Monday is doing. And it was started all by one very special person who we all continue to take inspiration from. And that's, of course, Anita. Can we have Anita's picture, please? Yes, see, radiating joy. Okay. When did she start this Magic Monday? Through her husband's illness, so that's what motivated her. So she took her grief and she made something so joyful about it. Isn't that amazing? We could all wallow in our sorrow, wallow in our grief, in our pains and aches or whatever. But let's take Anita's example. To take our grief and make something beautiful out of it. And although she's passed on, here we are all together, talking about joy. All right. Okay. So the next slide is on what does joy mean to you? So when somebody asked me this question, when I was telling them that I'm going to do a session on joy, and it made me think. So when I thought about it, I thought that for me, gratitude brings about a lot of joy. When I think about all the things I'm grateful for, whenever I'm down, there are innumerable things. There's no count, it's infinite. So gratitude brings about joy. Then I asked my son. Now, my elder son, Ashley, he's in finance. So when I first asked him, he said, money gives him joy. So I gave him a shout. I said, no, I cannot say money. So then he will try to justify and say that, money we all need. We have become self-sufficient. We can help others. So I said, no, that doesn't give you, that doesn't please me. Say something else. And then he said, reading. So reading gives him joy because he says his mind, he develops an open mind. He's enlightened on so many things because he's a voracious reader. So for him, it's reading. For my son, Aaron, it's football because he says he works in a team. All the team members come together. He learns to work together. He accepts defeats and wins both. And my daughter-in-law said cooking because for her, it creates bonds with family and friends. So that's what gives them joy. Now, what about you? Would anyone like to share? I just have some suggestions. Dancing, or your children, of course, will give you joy most of the time, or your grandchildren. So many of you have such adorable grandchildren. Giving or helping your pets. What gives you joy? Let's have a little sharing over here. Can you stop the screen sharing for a moment, Lorraine, please?
Yes, Olivia. Go ahead.
Dancing and singing.
Who is that?
Ursula.
Painting gives me joy.
Oh, okay. Who said dancing and singing?
Ursula.
Yes, and also, what about your poems? You write them and then you share them joyfully. Okay, yes. And Sabrina's dancing also gives a lot of joy. Someone said painting. Who said painting?
Olivia. I said painting.
Okay, so Olivia plus painting equals joy. All right, Ursula, you said dancing plus Ursula equals joy. Sabrina?
Sharing with everybody what I know gives me great joy.
Yes, we've seen that. We've seen that actually happening on screen. And I know Sabrina for many, many years, she's been sharing at the local parish in Dubai, her time and her talents, and she's continuing to do that. So that gives her joy and gives others joy also. Who else? Come on. What about one of the gentlemen? I can see some
What gives me joy, will I tell you? What gives me joy?
Yes, Jane.
Yes.
Listening to both my sons. Carlton, who sings on YouTube, on Facebook, on everything, and Royston, who dedicated himself to the Lord. Though he's the CEO of Brahmin Capital, he goes preaching to all the places. That gives me great joy. It gives me great
definitely.
Joy.
And both your sons give us joy, give so many thousands of people joy. So that's amazing. It's incredible. So thank you, Jane, for sharing that. Thank you. Yes. Come on, we want some more sharing here. Sandra, what about you? I can see you somewhere. Yes? No, I think you have to unmute. Yes?
Yeah. Yes, Sandra.
Yes.
You'll have to, yes.
Inner harmony.
Yes, of course. That's what, of course, inner harmony. Yes. Anyone else? I can see, Ida, what about you? Anything to say, Ida? Oh, Ida, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Ida,
You're muted.
Yes. Ida, what about you? Anything that comes to mind?
Ida, muted. Okay.
Unmute, please. Yes.
I get joy when I meet people and take them around, Go and spend time with
Yes. Of course, yes. When our friends visit Goa, it's such a joy to show them around. Yeah, yes, of course, definitely. When we interact, yes, I can see someone's hand up. Yes, yes, yes. Linda, whose hand is up? Unmute, unmute.
Yes. Adeline.
Yes.
Dancing and making people happy gives me joy.
Yes, definitely. It's this from the small things to the big things, when we give others happiness. My husband used to always tell me this, whenever, we have gave in different ways, he would tell me, don't think that you're doing anybody a favor, because when you give, you are getting the joy yourself, so don't think you're not doing anyone a favor, because you are benefiting. It's not only the person you're giving to, you feel good, you feel happy, you feel content. So we should keep that in mind. We shouldn't think, oh, we're doing a big favor to anyone. So
Barbara.
yes, anything else?
Barbara.
Yes, Barbara.
Okay. Well, I like to spend time with family and with friends, who, getting to know what they're doing at the moment, updates on their families.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Many times they like to, share their, not problems, but whatever their happenings with me. And some of them call me advisor. So it gives me a nice feeling.
Of course, nothing like interacting with friends, right? And with certain friends, we may not meet them for years, but then we can just pick up, isn't it? That's what happened when I went to Calcutta. We hadn't met for about 10 years, but we were talking as if, there was the time, 10 years had not elapsed. So let's keep in touch with our old friends also and get some joy into our lives.
I think Goretti had put up a hand too. Goretti?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I
Mary.
love doing gardening.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Gardening makes us peaceful also, right?
Yes.
I love to share my plants with my friends. Whoever asks me for my plants, I just give them. I feel so happy when I can give it to others.
Kariti, I'm coming.
Where's your garden? Where's your garden?
Kariti, I'm coming.
Yes, please come, please. And take whatever plants you want.
The monsoon. Getting talks for the monsoon.
Thank you.
I think Mary wants to say something.
Yeah, Mary.
Yes.
Just being with children. They are ones that you just don't have to pretend or put on any show. You can just be yourself.
True. Yeah, they are so innocent, right? Yeah,
and you can just be yourself with them.
They take joy in simple things also, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we become young at heart. We become young at heart when we are with them, right?
Exactly.
When I interact with students, I feel a little young. So thanks for sharing that, Mary. All right. So I think we all, if we look into ourselves, we'll all have something joyful to think about, right? We all have something joyful to be grateful for. Now, I'd just like to share with you something. Last week, that was, say, on the 20th of May, just after I had spoken to Belinda, a few days after I'd spoken to Belinda, on the 20th of May, my sister, unexpectedly, not unexpectedly, it was expected, but I had met her in April because she was ailing. My sister, she's 15 years older than me. She passed on the 20th, all right, of May. This is my sister, Love Frenny. You see her smile. Can we have the next picture, please? She was 79. It would be her 80th birthday. See how beautiful she was in her younger days. And she continued to smile. If you look, this is a picture of her a few years ago with my son. And she was suffering from Parkinson's. But she continued to keep her spirits up till the last. She had a sense of humor intact and everything when I met her. Although physically she was deteriorating very fast, mentally she was alert as ever. A sense of humor, her joy was still within her for her children and her grandchildren. So this is my sister who passed on just a few days ago. So when this happened, I wasn't really, naturally in the mood because I've learned a lot of life's lessons from my sister. And I wasn't in the frame of mind. My best friend from Calcutta had come for the funeral. And Belinda sent me a message saying that, she had heard about it. And she said, I understand if you will not be able to take the session. And I began to think about it. And then I remembered my sister's sparkling wit and her terrific sense of humor. She had, she would say things in an instant. She was like that, very witty. And I thought that she would not like me to, say, no, I can't do it. And, she didn't like all this drama of too much of grief and crying and whatever. She had lived her life and she herself was widowed at 34. She had 2 very young children and she raised them single-handedly. And she was always, well turned out. She was a teacher and she was perfect in many, many ways. And so I thought she wouldn't like me to say no. And so I looked deep inside me and found the joy, the gratitude of having her as a sister. Because, she would say, come on, go ahead with it. What rubbish she would have told me, So that's how I am here today, So I sort of, and this is helping me, when you do something like that, as I said about Anita, it's therapeutic. It helps you to overcome your grief, your sadness, okay? And she lived her life. She's got some beautiful children and grandchildren, and we're grateful for that. And now she's reunited with her husband. So we have to think about that also. She's not passed away. She's just passed on to the radiant world, okay? So that's how I said okay to Belinda. And so we're carrying on with the session, all right? So this is Frenny, and she must be very happy that I'm doing the session today. All right, we'll go on to the next slide now, Lorraine. So what do you think is the difference between happiness and joy? What, according to you, is the difference?
One
Can we have the,
both.
yeah, we'll stop the screen sharing, Lorraine.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between happiness and joy? There's a difference. Think about it. Yes, I heard someone say something. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong. We're all here. I also learned it by Googling it. I didn't know myself. Don't worry. Yes, tell me.
Joy is internal.
Yes, yes. Joy is internal. Happiness is temporary. When you perhaps you go out and you eat an ice cream, you enjoy it. So it gives you happiness, but then it's over, right? Or you eat a Mankurad mango, okay? So you're enjoying it for that time and then it's over. Or you hear birds chirping in the morning. So that's happiness, right? But joy is internal, as you so rightly said. Who said that?
Inner harmony.
Who said
Sandra.
Yeah, oh, Sandra. Let's give Sandra an applause for that. Come on. I'd like to hear everyone here because she thought about it and she's so right. Yes. Joy comes from within. So, it takes time to develop joy. Okay, happiness, we all enjoy all the time, right? But joy is something when we trust God. We know that there'll be problems in life. There'll be ailments in life. There'll be anguish. There'll be sorrow. But how do we lift ourselves from it? Okay, that grace will come from God, because everything is temporary. We cannot be here forever. And even the grief, the sadness will turn to joy if we trust in God. All right. So this is what we have to believe. So every night, if you count on your fingers 5 things, which you are grateful for, you'll slowly start realizing how lucky we are. Sometimes the 5 things can be 10 things if you have a little more time, okay? You can use, and slowly you'll see the little things. Let's not take life for granted, So try to share that joy which you experience also with others, as we said before, and think about what gives you not just happiness and joy, but for the future, so that you will be, when you have joy in your life, you'll be able to sustain what comes your way, right? All right. Now here we just said that, I think someone said sharing right in the beginning, right? That sharing gives joy. Now, for example, Dr. Amit, right? He's always sharing with you the sips of the day. So that gives you feel reassured about our health, right? Because health is so important to feel good. Then Sabrina, with her dance moves, she's sharing her talent and her craft also. Then even today, Lorraine, she immediately agreed to do the presentation because I'm not very tech savvy. So thank you, Lorraine, for that, because you're working on this joyful whole experience, okay? And Sheldon, okay, for his time, right? And for his smile, right? Sheldon's smile makes us all smile. so you all agree or not? Yes, correct. So thank you, Sheldon, for all the time you put in here, okay? Then I wanted to mention also Peter. Peter, for our birthdays, he not only uses his talent to create those very colorful posts, but he thinks about each one of us. And I think that's so remarkable. And he's using like adjectives, which we hope are right, for each one of us, each one of us, he thinks about it so carefully. I think that's absolutely amazing, and then he writes it out. And so imagine there's so many of us, and he's got something special to say about each one of us, which is hopefully, as I said, right. And we want to feel it's right, right? And he also makes us feel joyful. When we read that on our birthday, isn't it a wonderful experience? And I wanted to share with you also something which I've learned over the years, that, to make others happy, we don't have to wait to say their eulogies when they pass away and talk about all their positive talents, The next time it's someone's birthday, write to them why you admire them. Write to them, don't just say happy birthday, many happy returns. Take a little time and share with them in what way maybe there was one incident or one thing which touched your life, through them. So share with them that, and share what you admire or about their talents, Let's create that, not wait until, as my husband would say, 6 feet under, so let's do it now, and as Peter is doing, okay? Yeah, all right. So just wanted to mention that. Well, can we go on to the next slide, please? Yeah, the next one. Yes, yeah. So happiness comes from outside, it's temporary. Joy comes from the inside, from acceptance and withstanding grief, and from God's grace. Okay. Yes, and the next one after this. Yes, joy develops when we trust God and look for the positive in all circumstances. So when we do this, we grow. We ourselves will become more mature. We grow and overcome difficult times, and we begin to empathize with others. We begin to put ourselves, we don't sympathize, we put ourselves in their shoes. All right. Yes, the next slide, please. Lorraine. Yes, and happiness. Every day, look for little moments of happiness. Okay, and those many moments will lead you to joy. Don't take them for granted. Okay. Yes, and what do you think we mean by sharing your joyful and happy experiences with others? By this, okay, you can stop screening now. Yeah. By this, what I mean is that if you've had a happy experience, like for example, if you've gone to a good restaurant, all right, and you enjoyed it, okay, or you visited a museum and you enjoyed it, take a friend who you think would enjoy that too. Share that experience, not just tell them. Telling verbally is different. Actually give them that experience. This is another thing which I learned from my husband. If we enjoyed a holiday, he would take someone else on a holiday, or a meal, he said, oh, well, let's take this person for that, So let's try and do this, okay? As she said about the plants, so she said, come, take the plants. So let's go and take the plants. Maybe we should, that will give her joy and it will give us joy too. So she's sharing that experience of growing the plants, okay, with us, the joyful experience. All right. The next slide, please, Lorraine. Just after this, yes. I think it's about the choice. Joyfulness is a choice. Choose to be grateful and joyful. Okay. So you have a choice. Okay, you can stop this screen sharing. What do you think this means? Anyone like to talk about that? Why do you think it's a choice? Belinda, why don't you say something? Why do you think it's a choice? Or I think Edith is there somewhere. Belinda or Edith, would you all like to share? Why do you think it's a, yeah?
Basically, I think it's, as we say, it comes from within. So that's why each one of us is the way we think and the way we feel.
Yes,
and what gives me joy may not be what would give another joy. So something, it's very internal. Okay.
Personal. It's personal also.
Yes.
Yes.
Like even when Goretti said about going out and looking at her plants, like even every morning when I go out and I see those beautiful flowers blooming, I just say, it's the fruit of my hard work. It's such a lovely feeling, you know, when you see different color flowers all around and this flowering. That's why I love these flowering plants. And that's the joy that comes from within. It's something just from deep.
Can I say something? I have just returned today. I have just returned today from the UK.
When you all speak up, it gives me joy. So please speak
no,
up.
I tell you, I've just returned today from the UK. And the family that I stayed with, that is an amazing family. I mean, if I go talking, I don't know how long I'll take. There are no relatives or nobody. I only know them for the past 3 years. And that's how, only for the past 3 years.
Wow.
And that is how, because Carlton sang when he lost his father. Carlton sang for his mother. And now they have made me their mother.
Oh my gosh.
Last year, I didn't have, my passport had expired and I didn't renew it. I said, I am not going anywhere in the COVID. But you won't believe, they made my passport from the UK, send me my visa, send me everything, my ticket and everything. And as God should have it, Royston was going to give a lecture in the Oxford College to the students there. They said, Auntie Jane, if Royston is coming, you're coming with him. I said, but Royston is a frequent traveler. He has everything. I don't have my visa. But then when God wants something, the night before he left, my visa came and we traveled together. Okay. Now, I'll be talking for so long. And you know, I tell you what, now his son was receiving his first communion. And that time he told me, Auntie Jane, you have to be there. I will send you your ticket. Sent me my ticket again. And in a matter of a year, I'm again in the UK. And you won't believe the flowers in UK, as you were saying. They have such a beautiful garden. You cannot believe. I saw a black lily for the first time. Will you believe? Black.
Amazing.
In London.
So that's and wonderful that you had the experience.
And the roses, what colors and what sizes. Apples, 700 apples he donated to the church.
We'll have to look at our mangoes and be happy, right? Jane, that family must be such a blessing, and they must be so joyful themselves to share their joy with you. God bless them.
You know, God really bless them. I mean, and every second day they will call up. Now today they've gone to Germany. Auntie Jane, you have to come. Next trip is to Kuwait. I don't know, God willing.
So you must be having also a very cheerful disposition because they want you around. So
I don't know. That's all God given. And my legs were swollen like crazy. You won't believe. It was so cold. It was so cold there. With 3 and 4 coats, I was going, but I went everywhere.
But still,
got into the car.
That's great. That's great. Anyway. Shall we move on to the habits of joyful people, Lorraine?
Yeah.
Can anyone read this, please, for me? Edith, would you like to read it, please?
I read?
Yeah, anyone, yes.
Habits of joyful people. Trust God. Value God's principles and teaching. Avoid grumbling and gossiping. Look for the good in the situations. Practice gratitude. Pray, talking to God.
Okay, so we don't have to just pray our prayers. You know, throughout the day, we just lift up everything to God, okay? And when we're joyful, we tell him. When we're sad, we tell him. And so make it a habit of connecting with God on a daily basis, not just, you know, when we have to go for mass or our prayers, the regular prayers, but make it just like as if we're talking to a friend. I think that helps in creating joy also. All right. So let's do the last couple of slides. Lorraine?
Juwel, may I add something there?
Yes, of course, of course. I told you, you're creating more joy.
There's look for the good in situations. I think we could also add look for the good in people.
Yes, 100% true. We always tend to look at the flaws, you know. A friend once, this is a very good point you brought up, Maridel. Thank you. You know, we always complain about someone and say this one is like that and that one like that. But we don't think what they may be saying about us. We think we're all, my husband used to another thing, said, don't think you're a martyr, you know. Nobody, we're all flawed. We're human and totally flawed, but yet God accepts us, no? So what we have to, as we age, we try to focus on our strengths and not on our flaws, and we look for the good in others. There's always something good in people, right?
Very true.
I think, but we have to look for it, Maridel, as you said. Very, very true. Thank you so much for that. Yes. And the last, so let us, you know, we all say we must age gracefully, which we are all doing, but let's also age gratefully and joyfully. Can we all say that together? Let us not
just age gracefully, but gratefully and joyfully.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm sure Dr. Amit will agree with the last slide. You know, doctor, this is nothing to do with any of the tablets or anything. It's joy, which is the vitamin for the body, mind, and the soul. All right. Okay. So keep that in mind. Yes. And let's try to be more joyful. And we'll just sing this last, just one verse of the song, okay, this hymn which you've all heard. And maybe we'll just, Belinda, can we just do it once and then we'll get everybody to join in. All right, just for them. Yeah. So I can join you, but I'll go a little flat. If any of the other good singers,
Jane also will take it up.
Yes, all right.
Jane will take.
All right.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3.
Give me
joy
in my heart.
Keep me joyful.
Give me
joy in my heart. I pray.
Give me joy in my heart.
Keep me
joyful.
Keep me
joyful
till the end of day.
Come on and sing.
Only the first.
Only
the first verse.
So the last line.
Keep me joyful till the end of day.
Speed it up a little.
Yes.
Otherwise, everybody will fall asleep.
Belinda can take over.
Let's have the full screen. Let's stop screen sharing, Lorraine, please, and we'll all see everybody smiling and joyful as we end it. Yes, yeah. So let's end with the joy. So now let's speed it up, but very slow. So 1, 2, 3. Give me joy in my heart. Give me joy in my heart. I pray, hallelujah. Give me joy
in my heart. Keep me joyful.
Keep me joyful
till the end of day.
Keep me joyful till the end
of
day. All right, everyone. Hope the session was useful. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Juwel. Just see a 3-letter word, joy, but see the ripples that it has created. So it is the joy of having you with us.
We just need a little reminder sometimes.
Very true. The joy of having you with us. You stand for the first J. So that's the joy which you have brought into our lives today. And well done to all our magicians. See how there was so much of thinking, so much of contribution, so much of sharing. And that's where we say whatever is done really helps us and benefits us all. So thanks, Juwel, for being with us. Thanks for this lively session.
I enjoyed the session. I learned from the session. I felt joyful doing it for you. So thank you for that.
Thank you
and
so
help
much.
me come to terms with my sister's passing also. So thank you everyone for that. And thank you, Belinda,
so
for
much,
recommending.
Juwel. Thank you for choosing the joy and